A warm welcome to our presentation about a customer case, innovation for customer service. My name is Roland Ruf. I'm the Managing Director of RUF Beratung, a consulting company focused on contact center, customer service, and we try to cover the three P's: people, processes, and products and technology. And we are talking today here about technology, and I'm very happy to have somebody with me. David, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me. My name is David Humcha. I'm sitting in Czech Republic, working for one of the biggest construction building materials company in the world, Heidelberg Materials, which was just announced recently as a new brand for probably more known Heidelberg Cement in Germany and also in Europe. And as a product owner, I take care about the enterprise voice solutions for our company. I take care about the communication and collaboration platforms, including also contact center. And that's me.
Okay. Thank you very much. Before we start with technical topics, maybe you can explain a little bit what was the initial situation, why we are here speaking together. I think we have a long time. We've been working now 15 months together, and it was fun, but maybe you start explaining it.
True. Some years ago already, we just knew that once we finished our project of tech refresh for our current contact center platforms around the world, we already knew that it's old and that we need to again start to think. And you see currently on the map the locations of Heidelberg Materials all around the world, and you can see that we were pretty much using the well-known companies and Cisco and Unify was somehow split across the globe, one on the east, one on the west, and in the middle we had both. So that was the current situation, or basically it is still the situation. But we have also for our back office employees another offering, and that's currently the Teams phone. So we are more or less running to the cloud, I would say.
Yes. Yeah, and to go a little bit to your organization, the customer service in Heidelberg Cement is focused on B2C, B2B, and separated in different roles. Maybe you can explain these roles a little bit.
Absolutely, it's a little bit different per country. We have definitely also in some countries B2C, but most of the business is running on the B2B. And our customer service is more or less about the dispatch and how to handle the contacts with customer and how to make the order intake and the overall full chain to the delivery. So from the order to delivery, you see the roles like order intake, who is mostly focused on taking the orders, changing the orders, canceling the orders. But you can also have the dispatcher who is more or less coordinating the intraday activity. So there is a high complexity in terms of those materials which basically has only some time to live, and the delivery is something which needs to be very efficient. And also the companies who are using our products are also very time constraints. So they need to have the delivery on time when they have also the machines on the buildings. And it's not something which you can do as a delivery in maybe a few weeks. Time to time they need to have a delivery that day. Time to time they need to deliver even the different amounts. So you have to have a planning, you have to have allocators, you have to have a really strong relationships with customer and also the relationship with your drivers. And there are also other depending roles and communications that needs to happen within the customer service all over the day, because we are even for ourselves sometimes customers. You can imagine that the cement plant needs to deliver the cement for the RMC plant, which is making the ready mix, the beton. So there is internal, external customer, and there is several roles that could be even for some countries one person, which is switching the roles over the day. But it depends. We have a national customer service centers. We have a small distributed centers in some other countries. So saying that it's quite complex even by its own design, and customer service is quite complex, but I would say we have a very good back office processes, and we are really striving for the customer success. And we would like to only support that even within the contact center platform as much as possible. So that's the current situation. But we have also other roles in our environment. So you can imagine we have our own help desk, service desk, IT service desk, HR, shared service center, many other use cases for sure.
Yeah. I think what was for me the very interesting lessons which I learned is that wet baton, the ready mix, how you call it, has only a lifespan of around 2 hours. So you need really to coordinate the workers on site, the machines on site, the delivery, driving distance, to be really sure that you provided really on-time delivery. And therefore you have the
Absolutely.
differentiation between the sales, who is providing frame contracts, order intakes, which just takes a call-in order, and then you try to dispatch the delivery and probably allocate delivery resources and potentially pre-plan for the next days as far as possible. I think that's really in-time organization, which was very interesting for me to discover. And that also means that the workload is probably pretty intense for the dispatchers, I think, for the order intakes. I think you
Somebody
put in
would say that it's a stressful environment, yes.
okay, you put in here a screen of a typical order intake consultant, right?
Yeah. And this is not for 4 people, this is for 1 person. This is for 1 person with 4 screens, and maybe you can see from that screenshot some familiar applications. That blue screen definitely looks like the SAP, right? And there are also other very well-known pictures of the applications like Skype or Teams, but I would say it's already now quite old picture. But you can see that the diversity of the applications and the things that the agent needs to resolve over the day and needs to use over the day is quite complex. You see heavily used maps, and the reason for that, as you mentioned, Roland, it's because we need to drive the efficiency of the delivery, and time to time, the traffic and weather is against us. So even you can see sometimes that the people are even checking the weather, because we need to also guarantee the quality of the goods that we are delivering. And you need to make a different mix if you have a wet weather or if you have a very dry weather. So all of that aspects you need to consider all over the, yeah.
Thank you. So, and you try to digitalize this business. Maybe you can
Yeah, I
explain it
believe that.
better than
Yeah, I believe that some people already like raising a question in their head, like, okay, order intake. It's only about raising an order, right? It could be something that you can simply shoot as a very easy application, and partially it's correct. And we are also delivering to our customers now the digital ways and digital tools, and we have, for example, the application like on-site and hub, where you can also manage not only your orders, but also you can manage the deliveries. You can even now in some countries we are rolling out even the confirmation of the delivery, because that's one thing. You can order, but then you need to even confirm that order. It's not just that you raise the order and then it's done. No, you need to even confirm that the delivery really will happen on time and based on the schedule that we will provide. You maybe wants to have a little bit of adjustments. So we deliver the on-site and hub and maybe some different flavors of applications in some countries with a little bit of the different branding. But I believe that in future you will see mostly those two within the Heidelberg Materials brand. And that's something where we also drive this ambition of being a technology leader in our business sector. And there will be many new things coming into those applications, because we are even now trying to find a way how to make digitalize more other things and offer to our customers even some sensors which will provide them the predictions and the collection of the data. And with our partners we are now driving even much more interesting things that could be then visible in those tools. Stay tuned. You can observe us. Definitely it will be interesting with our partners what we will achieve in the future. But it's opening up another challenge, and I believe on the next slide it will be more obvious. It's about which channels we are now giving to our customers and which channels are open for connection to our customer service. And it's about the telephone channel, which is, as you already seen on the slides before, it's the Unify, it's the Cisco. And maybe if you click on that slide, Roland, it will it will show the, because beside all of those channels like telephone, email, and fax or SMS, we now added additional channels, and that's the digital tools that we're offering to our customers. And it's like next to all our other channels. So it might be confusing for our customer service if something is done by the customer in the on-site app, and the customer service is not aware about that immediately. And that kind of a interaction is somehow in the silo. So we already see that there is a need to basically provide that unification of the channels and somehow provide that omnichannel experience. So we have a multiple different tools for multiple different channels which provide silos, and that's something which we would like to definitely change.
So how to move forward?
Exactly. That was our question, and I would say it was even back in 2020 when we were in front of the decision, because we knew that our solution, as said, our solution was already at the time not the newest one, and we knew that we will need to do something. So the question was, do we need to do the upgrade again? But over the time, we developed a very, very clever solution on premise. But if it's very clever, then it's also more complex, more storage involved, more databases involved, more interconnections, etc. And it's at the end, you have a very, very big dependency on underlying infrastructure. And when it's so complex, then even the automation is not the question. So providing the context, this was not the only reason why to do any change. We needed to also be open for the new opportunities, like with these new digital tools. We started to think about how to make, for example, chat from the application with our customer service, or how we need to make a callback within the customer if there is something like changing of the load on the day, and we need to confirm that with some real human person, because it's not something that could be resolved by automation. So yeah, we needed to move forward, and that's the reason why we started to look around and doing our own research. But we found out, well, we probably cannot do that alone. And that's where we also reached out to several different consultants company, and we have chosen RUF Beratung. So Roland, then you came and and we tried to resolve the challenges. So it was obvious that we will need to run a tender. It's an investment. It was obvious that we do not know all the things around the market, and I can spend even 1 year to do the observation of all the companies around which are offering the contact center solutions. It was also about understanding of that needed technology, and we were stuck a little bit in our focus on those which were mostly on premise. So we wanted to also look on the opportunities where to make maybe something different. So the experience was definitely appreciated. Experience of somebody who had the also the experience with global partners and global projects. And yes, we wanted to have assurance that we are not just blindly following even those, I don't know if I can say it, like those quadrants in Gartner's and any other, right? So we want to have somebody next to us to talk about all of those findings and our opinions, etc.
Yes, thank you.
That's it.
So basically, when we got this project, we thought about it, and for us, it was clearly not an IT project, even if you're a product owner. For us, it means it's also a massive change of way of working. So we're talking about starting from the business, and we built up a project plan, which we presented and which you agreed or liked. You can see it here. We started with basically a workshop, state of the art in the contact center technology, which gave us both a common view what is possible with the technology market, what Heidelberg Cement or materials, how it's now called, needs, and really give us the same wording. So we are on the same level when we talk further about the project. So we try to analyze the current situation and started some requirements engineering or requirements gathering. We started more on the functional level. So we had interviews with the workplace team, with the business stakeholders. We did document all those functional requirements, and also we understood what is needed for the people to do the job good. and had an alignment call, presentation to the CIO. And then we start really with the requirements engineering on a technical level. What technical functions are needed? How is the telephony integration working when you're going to Teams and having additionally a digital contact center? What interfaces are required? And reviewing of automation option, what you can do. Then we presented the final concept and started to provide the RFP documents. And I'm very happy that we nearly met the timeline proposed initially. I think we were 4 or 5 weeks late, but we also proposed working over Christmas time, and you didn't really like that. So I think it was really executed in time. Very happy. I think one of the very important topics to really do this project for me was this what you call local community. David, maybe you can present that, what it is.
Yes, we have really in our company that drive of customer centricity and customer mindset, and that's the reason also why our infrastructure team changed the organization in recent years to product-driven infrastructure. So we have product owners, as you can see. My role is a product owner. So what we try to do is that even if we are infrastructure and we are talking about infrastructure technologies, we do have the concept of local communities basically to drive our initiatives and projects within the support of our business needs. And how to find out the business need, how to find out what our users really need to have, what they would like to have, and if this is the right approach for them, and if we should do these things or not. It's not anymore driven only by architects sitting in the headquarters and having the good ideas. No, we are running something like a global community within the local needs. And that's the reason why I built the community for this contact centers topic. And it's many people all around the world, roughly now around 50 people, sitting really in 11 different countries within the different roles of customer service managers, customer service supervisors, shared service center managers, and supervisors and team leads, and also our IT service desk representatives. And this concept gives us really great power of making decisions, because I can ask them if this is something really what they need, what they would like to do, and then I have an immediate feedback. So that's a very powerful big voice which we have used all together with Roland. And I will use it even in the future because this will be no never-ending story, I would say. We can still have a really great ideas and feedback directly from the people who will use the solution.
Yes, I think it was very important to have this really IT team, the consultants team, and also the really user involved, and to get a joint understanding and to ask from their insights, from their prioritization. I think that's one of the, from my perspective, one of the key drivers for success in that project. Yeah. So what did we do? Basically, as mentioned, we did quite a lot of interviews, created some voices best of, got some feedback from the different countries or organizations all over the world. We tried to create a tool landscape and realized that every site has their own processes, their own tools in use, which made our life not very easy, and also their different approach how to handle customers. Based on that interviews, we tried to make requirements workshops to really gather the requirements in detail and provide the omnichannel requirement document, which at the end ended up with a selection of our standard architecture, where we decided which are the requirements which we want to tool. We normally in our project separate between the channels. Which channels do we need? Which needs to be supported? Discussions like SMS, fax, telephone, of course, are there part of the discussions. With the service system, do we need routing and queuing for sure? Do we need the agent desktop? Do we need the contact archive? We discussed also if we include the ticket system in the RFP, but decided that should be a standalone solution as already in place. Then discussion about the support system, what is needed. Recording quality management was mainly used. Some regions or country wanted to have workforce management. And then we discussed also the interface in the CRM or ERP, which needs to be discussed. And based on that, we spent our way of working forward. And on one hand, built what we call the functionality matrix, which is a very big Excel sheet where we classified all the requirements based on our architecture, prioritized them, and discussed them also with the community in a workshop. If you can see here the screenshot on the right side, so it's really every dot is a feedback from one of the participants in this local community, which gives us clear insights and indication in which direction we need to go by the different features. Afterwards, we built our tender doc and our evaluation matrix to evaluate the responses of the different vendors. So now we had everything in place. Now we need to discuss which vendor do we want to approach, who's the right one. And we did a funnel. We discussed quite a lot of vendors or reviewed them. I believe David had presented all vendors which were active in Germany at that time. But we
Yes.
did some.
And I even gave to Roland a challenge. I told him, I know about one really small vendor, and I'm really interested if you will mention this vendor during the presentation. I have to say he did it really, and I didn't tell him what is the vendor. So the challenge
Okay.
accepted, and he mentioned. So I can tell you it was a very long day. Getting the insights to every one single vendor, and it was very interesting, and it helped us also a lot within the pre-selection, and also it allowed me to focus then with some own research only to few, and it's not that I would not trust Roland, but I also am the person who is then need to take the accountability for those decisions. So I also spent some time, but it definitely took me a really shorter time than going all over the possibilities. Very much appreciated, Roland.
All good. You need to justify your final decision. Basically, what we did, we selected the vendor. On one hand, we discussed if the function which we need can be covered by the vendor. Then we saw a little bit the discussion, can this vendor deliver globally, which made the funnel pretty narrow. And then we had a discussion, is a vendor, does it have enough experience in that area, and does it provide a state-of-the-art solution with future functionality and future development? So is a solution future-proof? And we ended up with 3 vendors which we invited for this RFP. And yeah, afterwards the discussion come for the integration, because the solution approach for Heidelberg Materials was to go first with a solution which would be implemented and then discuss who can help with the integration as an integrator. Yep, that was our approach, and yeah, we're very happy that we could support you on that area. But nevertheless, we also had some obstacles or challenges. Looking at that one, we had some interesting areas in this project where I wondered what will be the best solution, or where can we move forward. One, of course, was that there's a limited amount of vendor which can support such a complex environment or diverse environment on a global scale and has the right maturity to do that. So we ended up really at 3, which we invited for the RFP. Another one was it's a really diverse requirement per country with big gaps in between. So an example, one country wanted workforce management because they're very good on that one. Another country had no interest at all on this one, an example. What I found very interesting is the organization. So we have basically David as product owner, procurement manager, and this local community as decision maker. And of course, it needs to be justified from bottom up towards sponsors. But on the other hand, really the decision making was done at that level, and we had some vendors which participated in the discussion and really couldn't believe that, hey, I want to speak to your CIO who's making the decision on the vendor. No, it didn't work that way in that organization. And that was for some old-fashioned vendors really, let's call it a challenge.
Yes, I can only add to that point that I can understand that it was a little bit different maybe approach than for such a big company. We need to consider that this is a very big step for the customer service experience, definitely, and it has absolutely even focus of our CIO and Chief Digital Officer, CDO, and board member Dennis Lenz, and it's not that it would not be so much important topic that they would not take care. I'm personally updating him about the progress of the overall tender and the overall evolution of that. But it's also about that trust in our organization, which he set up and built all over the time when he is in place. That really he believes that the people are running and they feel empowered to make this decision if they really have, and also in change. I can only add to this point that it's true, and I feel that in that way it's maybe surprising for some companies and vendors, but also on the other hand, maybe it's giving a right signal to them, to enterprises, that they can maybe believe this direction.
Yeah, exactly. I really liked that one, and I really could feel the trust in the organization all the time during this project. So fourth point was a little bit that we have been running here global decision-making process, and we still had some local preferences and local connections to regional vendors which try to sneak in between, which of course are all hesitations from the different local entities which need to be taken care about. And I think that was also one of the little bit obstacles which we really need to be careful not to frustrate the local organization, because they need to really believe in the decision which we are making. And the fifth ones, let's call it that way, the quality of the vendor proposals and adaptation and understanding of the customer was not really not always what I was expecting. Some were pretty good, but some even put the wrong customer name in and things like that. It was really a nightmare. Yep, that's overall our summary. So Rainer, we are finished. If somebody has some question, feel free to contact me. Do we have some questions in the